Good morning, and welcome Sandra, Rishi, and Casey. We have a vast topic and 20 minutes to explore. So let's get straight into it. Let me start from you, Rishi. What does a world-class opportunity really mean to you, and how do you go about finding such investment opportunities? Like some of the key elements that you look for to identify those opportunities.
Sure. Let me start off by seeking some forgiveness over here from the crowd because I'm going to replace one word in that sentence.
Yeah.
Instead of world-class, I'm going to say best-in-class opportunity. And the reason for that is whenever we talk about world-class, the mind automatically defaults to thinking about a global business which is operating in 192 countries and so on and so forth. Actually, you don't need to go that far, right? Best-in-class opportunities and investing in them is really all about 5 key factors. First and foremost is that business positioned to benefit from some of the secular tailwinds that we are facing as we think about not just the next 3 days or 3 months or 3 years, but the next 3 decades, right? And those secular tailwinds, I think, are well known to us. It's all about digitization, including AI, of course. It's all about health and wellness, aging demography, the energy transition, and so on, right? Second is that business, does it have a strong, sustainable, and differentiated value proposition, right? In terms of either the quality of its product or services, the cost, the price point, the performance, whatever it is, maybe a combination of all of those. But is it strong and sustainable over that horizon? Third is, does the business naturally lend itself to expansion into natural adjacencies, either in terms of geographies, markets, or in terms of products?
Yeah.
And importantly, is it portable into those adjacencies? Is it set up to be transported into those adjacencies? Fourth is the business able to benefit from scale, right? Is there inherent operating leverage built into the business such that whilst being sustainable, it can actually improve margins and returns to owners and shareholders? The last point is actually the most important one here, Nishant. Typically, people talk about it in 2 terms. I'm going to combine it into one, and it's all about people and culture, because that people and culture equation is a self-reinforcing equation. Starting from the leadership defines the culture. The people embrace that culture. If they embody that culture and they are able to develop their own troops progressively through the cycle of that business, so as to create the future leadership, that self-reinforcing loop is a very important consideration. So those 5 factors really for us, whether it's for InvestCorp or the businesses we invest in,
Sure.
they define best-in-class opportunity.
Thank you, Rishi. Let me come to Casey. You have an interesting company. You originated from China and then expanded globally. Can you take us through your journey briefly, and also what were the key lessons learned during the process?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I really want to anchor Risha's philosophy on the 5 principles. I think that can apply universally true for a lot of businesses. So I came from a consulting background right now, and then leading this company of its strategy. So Wind is right now one of the largest player in Asia in the financial information sector, providing technology solutions, asset management solutions to everyone in the financial ecosystem. So there are a lot of pivotal points and key decisions that we need to make, the founders need to make when we grow the business. The first and foremost principle that we have is always follow the market opportunities, follow the capital, follow the client needs. Following clients' needs and identify them, and even sometimes stay ahead of that is very critical. The second philosophy is on creating the innovative structure, infrastructure. So on the market question that you asked about, where to start with is the very first question that we think about. So China, that we pick as our home market to start with 30 years ago, was a very nascent stage. So if you look at the market growth from in 1990s, the capital markets grew from 170 million of market cap US dollar to today 21 trillion US market dollar.
Incredible.
And also in the bond market at that time was 17 billion US dollar to today 24 trillion US dollar. So that is the one way that we are looking at, and we made the decision 30 years ago to start and focus on this company. The main markets to be in China and grow together with that. And later on, 15 years ago, there is another pivotal point that we think about globalization. And that was driven by the capital markets opening up of China. So on one end, we see a lot of Chinese international firms and financial institutions open up their overseas footprints. And on the other hand, all the international players, investors are also trying to tap into the high growth of China. So that was a critical decision where we decided to expand our geographic footprints, expand our global information coverage. And today, outside of mainland China, we have 10 offices covered in Asia, North America, and Europe. And on the information side, we double our information coverage globally year over year on all the equity classes, as well as the bonds and FICC indices, etc. And we also built a world-class macroeconomic database covering over 200 countries, regions. So these are the key decisions that we made together with the capital movements. We stay ahead of client needs, and also on the technology infrastructure-wise, we stay nimble in deploy the latest technology to make it a more productive investment support for a lot of our clients.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your insight. Now let me go to Sander. You have probably one of the most exciting and interesting seat as the founder of one of the leading multi-strat hedge funds in the world. That space has seen explosive growth. How do you go about building a multi-strat, which is a very tough business? The fight for talent, the fight for cash is intense. How do you go about building one?
Well, thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here in Abu Dhabi. A multi-strat is an operation. It's an operating business. And I believe there's three key points to building an operating business. The first is values. Values determine the value of an organization and the ability of that organization to grow. So although I agree with Rishi regarding the aspect of culture, we don't call it culture, we call it environment. Because we want many different cultures in our organization. We don't want one corporate culture. So our values are defined by 3 points. The first is we want to promote independent thinking. We want people to question the experts. I wrote a piece about it in the Wall Street Journal about 3 weeks ago. The second is we want to foster collaboration. So we work to develop processes within our organization to enable, across the multi-strat, all our areas to come together, to share experiences, to better structure the investments that we make. And the third value is to respect the individual. If you can't respect other people within your organization, you won't build a sustainable organization. So that's the first point. The second point is you need an operational framework. People, when they work together, they need to have a common idea of how things should be fit together. So we call it the deal code framework, and that is able to unify our investment talent, our accounting talent, our finance, investor relations, compliance, everyone is structured around this deal code framework. So it provides an operational infrastructure for us to coalesce around. And the third aspect, as Rishi mentioned also, is you got to find the right people. That's, to me, is very hard. I interview everyone who comes into our organization, down to the receptionist. Usually they go through 5 or 6 rounds before they come to me. I used to reject 20%, now it's down to 10% of the people. But we want people who are going to be able to fit into our environment. And that's the way I think that you build sustainability.
Fantastic. Let's stick to you on the next question and talk about this region. Hedge funds are obviously making a beeline for UAE. Over the last 2 days, I have heard all sort of reasons. Taxes, sun-soaked beaches, safety, lifestyle. But these things were there forever, right? Why now? And the second part of the question is, are we at sort of an inflection point for UAE right now, given the whole ecosystem is really in the place, it seems, right now?
Well, UAE is really the unicorn of asset enhancement because they're intentional with the way that they're building the future for their people. And Arab hospitality in the world is unparalleled. And combining that with a shared respect and tolerance for values from other peoples is what's giving people the confidence to come here. UAE has shown tremendous leadership in the region, and I think that all of us should really support that continued leadership that they've shown.
Yeah, yeah. Rishi, we were just talking, and you told me that you have spent 32 long years in this region. You must have seen everything that needs to be seen here. So why now?
Well, I'm a Khaliji at the end of the day. And I think what is happening now, Nishant, is the building blocks, right? Which starts with creating the right environment.
Yeah.
The environment, in turn, attracts the right people. And then combining the people and the environment with capital and opportunities creates that ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
All of that has now taken hold very firmly. It takes time to build that foundation. You don't throw a switch overnight and expect it to happen. And the leadership, not just in the UAE, broadly speaking in the GCC region, the new generation of leadership has been very forward-looking. They formed 20, 30-year visions, several years ago, almost decades ago, and they have been systematically executing upon that multi-decade vision. And that vision now is manifesting itself in terms of tangible outcomes because the environment is there, the people are coming, following that environment, the capital was always there, it was being exported, now it's being deployed locally, and the opportunity set has not just expanded, it's exploded, right? In the last 4 years alone, the number of small and medium-sized businesses in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has grown by 140%.
Yeah.
Right? 140%. So imagine what that means for people like InvestCorp that are in the business of deploying private investment capital, right?
Yeah.
The opportunity set is huge, and it just creates a self-reinforcing loop, a virtuous cycle almost.
Absolutely. I'll come back to that question briefly. Casey, do you have any thoughts on that? Why now for this region? How do you find this region?
Yes, so for us on the regional topic, so we are in this information business. So we believe that over the past 5 years, there has been increased connectivities between the MENA region and the Asia, the East region. So, but things could not happen magically. So information needs to go first. Information sharing is very important. I've heard many times from the investor on this side and the investor on that side trying to understand each other, but they could find no access to the relevant information and relevant counterparty. So for us to play a role is to be the information bridge across the regions and globally. And we do want it to be the underlying powerhouse and the infrastructure, what we call capital market infrastructure, to facilitate whatever transactions, investor educations, market opportunities to make things happen.
Yeah, great. This may be more from liquid investment strategies point of view, but if we look at the history of any financial center, the key ingredient is how deep is the market? Can you really invest? Can you get in and get out of those markets? So if you see this region from that perspective, obviously you can invest from UAE. Can you invest in UAE? And where are we in that development stage? Sander?
Well, the UAE is making tremendous initiatives in the field of AI and other forward-looking technologies. And the challenge here is to bring in the personnel that can accomplish that change. And the leadership here understands that, and so to make investments here, you really have to be local. And I think that's why we're all here, is because the leadership wants us to come and be local.
Yeah. Rishi, you have?
And I was going to quibble with you a little bit, Nishant, because it's important for liquid strategies, yes. It's even more important for illiquid strategies, because imagine how investors would feel if we put their money into illiquid investments and never managed to take them out. So we need that liquidity, right? And what I see as being very encouraging is the increasing number of market participants coming into the UAE and the region, wanting to participate in private market investment opportunities, because that creates that liquidity, right?
Yeah.
That pool of capital, that ecosystem of buyers and sellers around investment opportunities that are growing in number every day we speak, that in itself is very, very promising. And so I think what needed to happen to ensure the availability of that monetization exit event for illiquid investments is largely beginning to happen now.
Yeah, sure. Very briefly, we have 90 seconds left. Like, what's the next big thing for you, globally or regionally?
Yeah, I think the next big thing for us is on the technology innovation. It's on AI. You cannot join any panels today without talking about that, but we're talking about real applications. So I believe, I came from an investment banking background, and I couldn't imagine how the world is so different today than 10 years ago in the sector. So with AI, it enhanced the productivity. So what we do is, finance sector is very challenging for zero margin of error, for the real-time access to information, no hallucination, ability to reason, all of these challenges. But with the latest technology that we come up with, the latest AI-powered financial terminal. So that helps the research analysts in a day to digest all the earnings calls with the structured and unstructured information that can flow directly into your model. We help analysts to automatically update their model as soon as an earnings announcement come out. We can also come up with some of the outlines for the research report and finding the underlying materials and grounds to build into that. So there's a tons of imagination and an application that can be applied in the sector where we want to change the future 5 to 10 years of how AI can be leveraged by financial professionals.
Thank you. Rishi, what's the next big thing for your firm?
So look, we are today a large, diversified global manager focused on private investments. Our focus going forward is to deliver both on the promise and the potential of what we are.
Yeah, sure. Sandra, anything?
Credit. Credit is going through dramatic change in the current environment, particularly changes in the U.S. banking system. Something that's dramatically underdeveloped in this region of the world, from Saudi to the Emirates, is the credit markets here. And the ability to provide credit is the foundation for growing an economy. And I think that's one of the most exciting areas to be in the region.
Yeah. On that note, we have run out of time. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.